Now, News First reported on an incident where a private flight that landed at the Trincomalee Air Force Base leaving the country from that base. The Civil Aviation Authority had issued a release explaining that incident today.
The Bombardier flight that landed at the China Bay Army Base in Trincomalee was carrying foreign investors said to be from Singapore, China and Hong Kong. Former Governor of the Eastern Province, Rohit Bogolagama, and his son had intervened to bring down this group of investors. We pointed out that the flight had left the country outside the due procedure from a location that is not an approved port of departure in the country. The Civil Aviation Authority states that the aircraft that departed from China Bay Airport had conformed to all requirements applicable to aircrafts departing for international flights. The release, carrying the signature of the Deputy Director General of the Civil Aviation Authority, Rohan Manukulasuriya, states that necessary approvals from all concerned agencies had been arranged well in advance prior to the departure of this flight. While appreciating the release by Manukulasuriya clarifying the incident, we have no doubt that your institution acted in a manner adhering to due process. But, while standing by our report on the incident, we continue to question as to how the law of the country can be violated continuously. Section 34 of the Immigration and Emigration Act clearly states, quote, "No person to whom this part applies shall leave Sri Lanka from any place other than an approved port of departure," unquote. The subject minister is required to declare the approved ports of departure through a gazette notification. According to the law of the country, the China Bay Airport is not an approved port of departure. If this airport was an approved port of departure, it should be included in a gazette issued by the subject minister. We question the existence of such a gazette notification. We question as to if this was done because there was something illegal or someone illegal on board this aircraft. The video footage clearly shows how the passengers of this flight participated in a meeting. Without the approval of the customs, no flight or ship can arrive in the country, and they cannot also leave the country. The customs should know what is on the flight, as well as who the people on board the flight are. In addition, if this is not a regular flight, there is a question on security. Other than that, there are civil aviation laws. There are runaways in the country. There are certain entry points to the country. So if someone is violating this without proper permission, there is also a civil aviation issue. So there are 3 violations here. Did everyone who travelled to the China Bay Air Force Base from the Bandaranaike International Airport leave the country? Did they obtain proper approval and clearance from the customs and immigration officials? We question the existence of such documents. Why weren't the aerial security measures implemented on this flight when it left the airspace of the island after taking off from an airport that is not an approved port of departure in the country? Who is watching by while the country's sovereignty, national security and integrity is being challenged? Why are those responsible for this not being arrested?
When this news came up, most of the foreigners stated that now what has happened to this country is because country has functioned as a country without a law. I was arrested because I have violated the immigration law. But here the law has been violated at an even bigger scale. Now, did anyone get into the plane from Trincomalee? If anyone did, who were they? If so, were they leaving the country illegally? Even Aloysius can leave the country like this and still the law is not enforced. If people can come in and go out like this, then this country is like a banana republic. This country has become a country without a law, a country without recognition, and a country which is collapsing. That is what has happened to this country. Criminals of this country can also leave like this. If the arrival took place like that, then considering the bulk of money that Arjuna Mahendan took, they can even come to the country by a private jet like this. Likewise, when Arjuna Mahendan can also come to the country like this and take out money in rural bank and go back to Singapore, there's a risk that responsible officials will not have a knowledge when the law is not properly enforced.